Okay, so the 2023 NHL draft is still a year away, but there's no time like the present to start doing mock drafts and rankings and all that stuff. So today I'm going to be doing my very first official mock draft for the 2023 NHL draft class, and I am using draftprospecthockeys.com draft simulator website thing. I used it a lot for the 2022 draft, and it is based off of the standings from the 2022 season. I did run the lottery a single time, and the Sharks, actually, my favorite team, happened to win the lottery, so they went from 11 to 1. That would be pretty awesome if they did, so everybody ahead of them moved down one spot, except for Montreal, which moved down two. Arizona stayed the same. And yeah, that's about it. So I am going to start picking for every team now. The Sharks obviously are going to be taking Connor Bedard in this case if they do win the lottery. That would be absolutely disgusting. I I'd be pretty hype. I'd be pretty hype. Not gonna lie. And to be fair, I think the Sharks are a team that will probably be worse next year than they were this year, so they will have better odds of winning than they did last year. I think they're likely a team I think will finish 6th to 7th worst in the league, which still gives them decent odds to win the first overall pick. But now, of course, moving on to Arizona, it's really between Michkov and Fantilli, and I still feel like you got to go with Michkov. There's a little bit of risk there with the whole Russian factor and the fact that he's going to be staying in Russia for a while. But Coyotes are a team that's going to be bad for a while, so I don't think him staying in Russia is going to really hurt them in terms of their timeline. In fact, he could come over at the perfect time for them to start being uh, seriously competitive, and then he could really put them over the edge. So that'd be pretty good for Arizona, and I do think he's by far not by far, but he is clearly the second best player in the draft, in my opinion. Now moving on to three, Montreal. This is a slam dunk pick as well, and that is Adam Fantilli, of course. And now you're looking at an absolutely disgusting future for Montreal as well, with Slavkovsky, Suzuki, Caulfield, Fantilli. Like that forward core is absolutely just going to be stacked. One of the best top sixes in the league, potentially, for sure. Now, moving on to Seattle here. This is going to get interesting. Dvorsky, pretty sick. Yager, Leo Carlsson, I think could go here. Calum Ritchie is a player I'm not quite as high on as other people. At this point, anyways, we'll see how he plays in the upcoming year. Zach Benson's a player I like quite a lot. These other guys, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's gonna be between Carlsson and Dvorsky here. And if I'm Seattle, I think I'm gonna take Leo Carlsson. He has really, really high upside, I think. Uh Not that Dvorsky doesn't. Dvorsky is a perfectly solid prospect in his own right, but I will have Leo Carlsson here going to Seattle. Now moving on to Philly. At this point, I think it is Dvorsky. At least, I mean, obviously these teams are going to have more information. We're all going to have more information once we actually get to the draft. But at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say Dvorsky should be top 5. Now, New Jersey here at 6. This is where it really starts to get interesting. You know, these 5 guys, I mean, the top 3 are 100% set. 4 and 5, there's a little bit of debate. I could see some people being a little bit lower on Leo Carlsson, but I think those 2 guys are generally pretty safe in that range. But at this point, it really starts to open up a bit. Like, I could see New Jersey going for Brayden Yager. I could see him going for a Zach Benson or Charlie Stramel. Maybe even a Mikhail Gulyayev. Now, they did just get Simon Nemec, so they don't really need the defensive prospects as much at this point. I mean, they're also a team that I expect is going to be a lot better, so they're probably not going to be drafting 6th overall if we're being honest. But assuming they are, I think they're just going to go best player available. And they are going to take a forward here. And I think it's going to be Zach Benson. I'm a little bit biased because Benson's a player I've seen a lot last year, and I like him a lot. But he should at least be a solid top 10 guy. At least I'm kind of projecting him to be. Now, let's see. Chicago. I feel like Calum Ritchie is the type of player Chicago might like. Ottawa too might like a player like that. See how? Yeah, he's 6'1". Okay, that's what I thought. And he's going to be big. He's going to be a big guy because all these players, of course, are going to have a full another year to grow. I think with Chicago, I'm going to have him take Brayden Yager. I think that's the highest upside. Now, Chicago as well is a team that's probably not going to be picking seventh. They're probably going to be somewhere between 1 and 4. Don't really see them finishing much better than 4th worst in the league. But yeah, 7 isn't too far off. Although the difference between 4 and 7, I mean, the difference between Leo Carlsson and Brayden Yager would be pretty substantial. Yager, I still love Yager. I think he's going to be a great player, top 6 center, top 2 center, if you will, for sure. But Leo Carlsson is just going to have that pretty sick edge over him, I think. Now we're moving on to Ottawa. I think they're going to take Calum Ritchie here. None of these other guys really stand out to me as Senators type picks. Matthew Wood, maybe. Yeah, he's bigger. He's bigger than Ritchie at 6'3". Actually, Matthew Wood could be interesting. He's kind of a weird player coming out of the BCHL, which is unusual. Alex Chernik could be interesting. Doesn't seem like a sense pick to me at all, though. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to have him take Matthew Wood. I think it's slightly off the board at this point, but still not a pick that I hate. I haven't seen Matthew Wood play much at all this last season because, of course, he's playing in the BCHL, but put up a lot of points. He's very highly thought of, and he's big, so that seems like a good fit for the Senators, I guess. Now Detroit. Interesting. Detroit is always one of the more interesting teams to watch, of course. Who could they go for here? Let's see. They got Casper this last year. Was their first pick, so maybe they want a defenseman. Theo Lindstein, maybe. I like Gulyayev better, but I haven't seen a lot of Lindstein. I feel like Gulyayev would be a bit more of a Red Wings type of pick, and they did take a Russian player at 52 last year, Butelnikov, and he went a bit higher than I was expecting as well. So maybe they're a team that's a bit more willing to take Russian players. And I think Gulyayev is risky but worth it. So I think I'm gonna have Detroit take Gulyayev there. All right, now we're on to Buffalo. Power left winger. I mean, that's very specific need there. I feel like they're a team that needs some size though. So see, Charlie Stramel is big. Power forward. Right winger, they'd probably prefer a center, especially at 10 overall. How tall is Riley Height? 5'11". I really feel like Buffalo's a team that needs a really big guy. Kind of like the Sharks, they drafted some big guys last year because they have a lot of smaller, skilled players in their system. It looks like their options for size are going to be Ritchie and Height. But Height isn't that big, but he'll be decent. At least for centers. Stramel, of course, is going to be the really big guy. I think it'll probably be Calum Ritchie, another guy who's very highly thought of coming into the draft year. He's got some size and he's a center. Shoots right as well, which is always nice to have some right handed centers. They're not the most common commodity out there. Right-handed players in general, of course, not super common. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have the Sabres take Calum Ritchie there. Now, outside of that, we're starting to get into the range where there's a lot of players here I'm not too familiar with at this point. Colby Barlow is not a player I've seen a ton of. Quentin Musty is actually he's a guy I've seen a bit of, but I don't really have a strong opinion on him at this point. Lindstein, of course, is not a player I've seen a lot of. This guy, I saw a decent amount of, but I wasn't paying attention to him really because there's so many guys to look for especially last year. There was a ton of USDP guys going in the first round. This guy played high school prep, so obviously I didn't really see any of him. William Whiteclaw, good name though. Could be one of the better names in the draft. So I think I am going to end it there. So just the top 10, of course, to reiterate. Connor Bedard goes to the Sharks. That would be absolutely sick. Michkov to the Coyotes, then Fantilli to Montreal. Carlsson to Seattle, Dvorsky to Philly, Benson to New Jersey. I really like that pick. Yager to Chicago, Matthew Wood to the Senators, Gulyayev to Detroit, and Ritchie to Buffalo. So there you have it. You heard it here. You heard it here first. This is the top 10 going in this order to these teams at the 2023 draft. Guaranteed. Put money on it. Actually, maybe don't put money on it. Results may vary. I am not liable for financial compensation if you or a loved one suffered from sports betting mesothelioma. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider giving a like. That really helps me out. I will put another video on screen right above me now if you want to stick around for a while and check that out. But all that being said, have a nice day, guys.